When morals decline and good men do nothing, evil flourishes. A society unwilling to learn from the past is doomed. We must never forget our history. We must never lower our guard.
What's a flick, everybody? Welcome from the Associated Press at Ebert Presents at the Movies. It is Christy Lemire. Hi. And from the Wrap and the Linoleum Knife, I got that right?
Yes.
Podcast. I don't know why I screw it up every week. His name is Alonso Duralde. Almost forgot that part too.
And in the Cone of Silence.
All right, that's Matt Atchity from Rotten Tomatoes.
Clowns. We don't have time.
J Edgar, Christy.
No, Alonso wants to describe it. Alonso hated it.
Well, yeah, spoiler. Leonardo DiCaprio plays controversial FBI chief J Edgar Hoover under lots and lots of putty, and because it's a movie about his life story, they came up with the wildly revolutionary method of having him narrate his own life story to a biographer, because we've never seen that before.
You will rise to be the most powerful man in the country.
It is my belief that when a man becomes a part of this bureau, he must so conduct himself as to eliminate even the slightest possibility of criticism as to his conduct.
Mr. Tolson, I need someone who I can trust. I want you to be my number 2 man. You understand? I need you.
Imagine if every citizen in this country were uniquely identifiable by the pattern on their fingers. Imagine how quickly we could find them if they committed a crime.
You remember that file we created on his wife?
Mrs. Roosevelt.
Will you make a copy for me, please?
Is that legal?
Sometimes you need to bend the rules a little in order to keep your country safe.
Yeah, so, okay, narrating his life story through a biographer is played out, but that didn't, it's still...
That's so low on the list of reasons that this movie bugged the crap out of me. I just wanted to throw that out.
The putty is higher on your list?
The putty is higher, but no, for me, here's the thing. I didn't like Milk very much, and it's the same screenwriter, Dustin Lance Black, and his way of doing biopics is basically this sort of parade of events, and it's like, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and then, but nowhere in there do I ever feel like I'm getting who the person is and why they do anything.
And that's often the problem with biopics. It is like a greatest hits collection of moments, and yet, like, you cannot ignore the Lindbergh baby being kidnapped, right?
No,
and you can't ignore
I'm not saying that they should have left anything out, but there's a way when they do these things right where you get some motivation, you get some understanding of the person. And the movie is good about sort of drawing out like the contradictions of Hoover. Like, he was devoted to his job, but at the same time he was kind of a publicity whore, and he was trying to save America from the communist threat, but at the same time was willing to use his power for totally selfish reasons and go after, Martin Luther King or whatever. But ultimately I just felt like I never got a real sense of who this guy was and why he did anything. It looks great, Clint Eastwood knows how to art direct the crap out of a period piece.
I like your comment about how if you were a stationery fetishist, you will appreciate the detail to like all the paper and the pens and the offices.
Yes, the vintage, the wooden filing cabinets, all that stuff. It's like, whoa. And I think Armie Hammer's terrific.
He's amazing. He steals pretty much this whole thing away from everybody.
That's funny.
He's sexy as hell.
I don't think so.
No?
I think he's great.
Really?
I think he's great when he plays himself when he's young. But when you talked about the putty, I thought DiCaprio older was fine, was okay.
Yeah.
I thought Armie Hammer older was kind of embarrassing.
They're both distractingly
really,
bad.
really
I agree with you. I think that DiCaprio's makeup as he got older looked really good. It was actually a little weird because when they said that he's going to go meet Nixon, I'm like, he already looks like Nixon. But I thought that his makeup looked really good. But then when Armie Hammer, they're showing him old, I thought they make the makeup so bad he looks like Clayface. He looks like a Batman villain.
Yeah, but at that point though, when they are that much older, like they have already established this rapport from their youth, and they have such crazy sexual chemistry. Like just they'll hold a glance a little bit too long, or they'll hold hands in the back of a car. And it's like just kiss already. Like when they're young and they're gorgeous, it is very exciting.
I will say the movie gets that right. Like if you're going into this movie wanting to see like J Edgar be a big flaming queen wearing dresses, that's not this movie.
Get that, no.
But I think that it's true to what a guy in his situation, super like Law and Order guy, and growing up in the teens and 20s, basically, like being coming to power in the 1930s. If you were gay back then, and you were in his position, you wanted to have a career in DC, you tamped it all down, and I think they really captured. Like, there's one scene where all sort of kind of comes, blowing out to the forefront, and then it's never talked about again. And I'm sure that's completely true.
And then there's a whole shadow of his mother, Judi Dench, who is great as his Lady Macbeth kind of mother, who humiliates him into staying in the closet.
Since you bring this up, I actually am gonna lean toward agreeing with you more than I thought I would, because
that's
the
how
stuff,
good
because the Lindbergh kidnapping stuff is, I thought, very good, and I thought the best part of the movie. And I clearly, in this, when you do a biopic, you think, oh, we got to do the Kennedy assassination, we got to do the bugging of Martin Luther King, but maybe you don't, actually. And maybe if we had seen a movie about his sort of rise to power, we already see his willingness to trample on individual rights in the name of protecting the country, even though when he doesn't have a tremendous amount of evidence that the country needs protecting. We saw that early on, pre-Lindbergh Baby, and the Lindbergh Baby is this sort of seminal case where the FBI gets to be the powerful big feds that we know they are now. That might have been enough, and then we could have spent a little more time trying to figure out who this guy really was. That maybe we didn't need to see as much.
Well, you could have done like the Motorcycle Diaries approach, right? Where you're not doing all of Che Guevara, you're just doing a little bit negative who Che Guevara became because of a moment.
What put him on the road too,
See, I have to jump in, and I think it's a challenge to do a movie on a guy like J. Edgar, who was so secretive and is such a cipher. I think it is hard to be able to ever get to the bottom of him, to really understand where he comes from. But I will say the supporting cast is great, and I want to see a movie with the guy who played Nixon. Because that guy who shows up as Nixon is
in like one scene.
And he's, you see him in like two different scenes, and he's got so much energy, and like towards the end he's like, get those fucking files. Like, that's exactly what you would expect out of somebody playing Nixon. And I want to see like a whole TV series about that guy kicking ass as Nixon.
Now, is it just me, or when DiCaprio does a voice,
Christopher Shire.
Christopher Shire. Are you conscious that it's DiCaprio doing a voice? Like, did you ever sort of lose yourself into thinking that you were actually watching Hoover, or at least not watching DiCaprio as Hoover?
I didn't have a problem with that. I thought DiCaprio was really good, and
I never lost myself in it that way.
Well, also his accent and how he talks, like that's part of the character, because he apparently had a stutter growing up, and so how he speaks is totally germane to who he is.
I thought it was a supporting cast that Matt brought up, but some of the guys the people brought in by Hoover, because Hoover sort of played a big role in making the FBI the sort of the technical agency, the forensic agency that it is now, and Dennis O'Hare played an agent. I thought he was really good. I always think he's really good. I thought Stephen Root, who does funny,
always.
He was, but this is a slightly different role because he wasn't outwardly funny. He was a little crazy and kooky,
just twitchy
and weird. But I thought really, really good, and I think that speaks really. And Ken Howard was good, and and Eastwood did a really good job casting.
Even like people have one line, it'll be some actor that you've seen and go, oh wow, he's great, and then you never see him again.
But not enough Naomi Watts. Not enough Naomi Watts as his very loyal secretary.
Lifelong secretary.
Who is she? Why is she so loyal to him?
Another character who I wanted to know what her deal was. Yeah.
All right, let's get some numbers.
I give it what did I give it? A 7.
Yeah. So you.
I like it.
I'll give it a 4 for the art direction, but.
Matt?
What did I write down in there?
4.5.
4.5. I can't remember. Who can remember?
I liked it. All these criticisms are valid, but overall, I was into it, and sort of, I thought it looked great, and I thought it was really cast well, and they were all good. I gave it 7.5. And overall, we're getting a 5.8 if I did the math right, which Alonso assures me I did.
I think so. It's a split ticket here.
It's really low in the tomato world. It's like in the low 40s,
like 40,
right?
It's
surprisingly
critics are
low.
well, that means that critics are really split on it. So some people like it, some people don't. That's it's about half and half.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.